Hey, Mike McGrory here. Today, it's the beginning of softwood cutting season. So to kind of give you an idea, you know, softwood cuttings are very soft and pliable, therefore they root really easily. Hardwood cuttings are hard, you know, hard like a pencil, and they, depending on the plant, they will root, but it takes a lot longer for them to root. Where softwood cuttings can root in anywhere from, like with a potentilla, you might have roots in 2 or 3 weeks. A lot of other things are going to be 4 to 6 weeks. Burning bush might be 8 weeks. So it's under mist, but we'll get into that. So my rule for softwood cuttings is the 6 weeks rule. So don't pay any attention to what people on the internet tell you, as if I'm not on the internet spewing information like a madman. But basically the 6 week rule is pretty simple. Once a plant starts to make leaves, count 6 weeks ahead from then. So if your plants leaf out like in the 3rd week of April, count 6 weeks ahead, and that's because in that 6 week period they're going to put on at least that much new growth, maybe more, but that new growth needs to harden off a little bit, you know. I don't want to waste a cutting, but this here is a little bit flimsy, not too much, but a little bit. So the tip of the cutting can be pretty flimsy, and if they're real soft and flimsy like that, they're gonna fail. So that's why you need to wait 6 weeks and let that wood harden off a little bit, so that when you make the cutting and stick it in the sand, it's rigid enough to hold itself upright until it's rooted. So I'm going to show you what we have here. I'll grab the camera from Tia. So basically, we already did Annabelle, because we have some bigger plants up by the house. But what I did is I put these stock plants along here, and then I labeled them kind of so customers can see what they look like. So this is Limelight. They all look very similar until they bloom. This is Silver Dollar Hydrangea, so that gets a big snowball flower, a lot like Limelight, you know, very, very similar to Limelight. Pink Diamond is different. This is Pink Diamond. So Pink Diamond, the plant's a little bit different and the flower is very different. Instead of a snowball flower, it's more of a panicle flower, and it's got some pink color in it. Phantom is also a big snowball flower, but it's kind of conical in shape, and they're big. You can get flowers as big as your head from Phantom. Now this is Tardiva. Tardiva is also a panicle like Pink Diamond, but it's pretty much white in color. Then they all turn a little bit pink as the bloom matures. So we're going to switch the camera back here. So basically, to take cuttings, I'm going to pretty much abuse this plant because we want to get a bunch of cuttings. And of course, this is kind of a perfect example. You can see where I cut this last year, we got 2 bud breaks from where we had 1. So that's that's one of the reasons why we prune the way we prune, is to force the plant to fill out so it doesn't look like just, if you're old enough to remember rabbit ears on a TV, then you'll know what I'm talking about, and that you don't want that. So I'm just going to kind of go through here. We're going to grab what we can grab, and then we'll go in the building. And at the same time, even if I don't want the cutting, I'm going to make a little cut. I'll get on here and get this, and I think I'll go in here. All right, I think that's about it. There's some little tiny ones there. I guess I could get. They're pretty small. I'm not gonna scavenge that much. That's sticking up, so I'm just gonna whack that off. Now that plant, it's still gonna bloom, but it's gonna take a little bit longer because I've completely interrupted that process. But now it's gonna fill out more, put on some new growth, and then it'll make some flower buds. So this is Limelight. I'm going to tell Tia this is Limelight because when I get over there I need to know that, because I need to make a tag. So, all right, Tia, that's it for. All right, so we'll dump these here. and then we're going to make the cuttings. Real quick crash course. We're gonna make, you know, I'll show you in a minute, but then we're gonna dip them in this solution. It's a rooting compound. It's dip and grow. I'm gonna grab the bottle so you can see that. Liquid rooting concentrate. I like liquids because you can use this for either hardwood or softwood, and the only thing that you do differently is the concentration. So for softwoods, I think we're at 20-1, and with hardwoods, you're probably going to be a concentrate of like 5-1. But the instructions are on the bottle. This stuff is not magic. It's, you know, you can't put roots on a pencil with this, but it does help. A lot of people say, "Oh, you don't even need rooting compound," or "I dip them in honey, that works great," or "I dip them in this and it works great," or "I dip them in honey mustard." You know, I don't know if anybody really does that, but I don't believe honey works. It's just that the plant would have rooted without anything. I use this on pretty much everything we stick, only because this is like the least expensive thing I buy all year for this nursery, so there's no point in not doing it. So anyway, dip and grow. You can find that probably on Amazon or a local store somewhere. Tagging is really, really important. The last thing that we did was red Prince Weigela. So I made this aluminum tag. Now you can use like white strip tags and you can write on them with a permanent marker. And then when you go out there in 3 or 4 months, you're going to find out that the permanent marker wasn't anywhere permanent at all. And your tag is going to look brand new like it just came out of the box. And you're not going to have any idea what you have. Permanent markers are not permanent. Paint markers are pretty well permanent and they work. But for this, I know I need this tag to last a year, and it's not like I'm going to make 500 tags to stick in pots. I'm only going to make one for the cutting bed. So this is an aluminum tag that you make an impression on. So what we're going to do here is limelight, and I'm going to show you how wonderful my handwriting is. But what's important is to make the impression. Because 12 months from now, that's going to pretty much actually, well, all right, I'll show you what it's going to look like 12 months from now. Maybe. I got to dig in the bottom of the garbage. A tag that I just took off, that I put this tag on last June, and I just took it off of the bed. So you can see that the impression stayed. The cardboard on the back went away. This is a copper wire, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So what I do is my propagation box has a 1x wooden frame, so I just put a little deck screw in there and twist the tag around it right in front of each plant. That way I know what I have. Proper tagging is really, really important. So, all right, I'm going to put this over here back. So now, crash course in making cuttings. This is a pretty good example. So again, this is something that we cut last year right there. So we got a new branch there, a new branch there, a new branch there. So I want my cutting, I might get 2 out of that. I don't have many, so I'm gonna scavenge a little bit. So basically, that's all I do. Make that clip, strip the leaves off, throw it down there. Man. Yeah. I'm gonna trim the leaf. If you have big leaves, you can actually cut them like I just did there. That'll work. It's not ideal, but if that thing roots, I put it in a pot, somebody gives me $8 for it, I hit the lottery. So now this is a little flimsy, so I'm gonna take that out and then I'll cut those. So that's really not a good cutting. Normally I wouldn't even attempt to do that. This one is kind of borderline, so I'll cut it there and then I'll strip that. So that's a pretty good cutting. And then the part that I cut off, this is where you gotta be careful because this is soft, and I'll clip them. So it's a small cutting, but it will root. Same thing here. First thing I'll do is I'll remove them from this. ideally, this is what I want to do if I have enough wood. I'll take the top out, and that's really the cutting that I want. That's a really nice cutting. It's long enough. Same thing here. I'm going to take the top out because that might limp over, so I like that cutting a lot. This one I'm definitely going to get more. Now this is what's important, and we talked about this in a video the other day. I can cut this here, and then all of this is going to die back anyway. If I cut it here like this, now this is from here to here is going to die back, so I might as well cut it there to begin with. And then I'll just take these two bottom leaves off, take that leaf and trim it a little bit. You don't have to do that. We just did Annabelle's and red prints. They had really big leaves. We had to do that. So I'll remove the bottom leaves from here. This is pretty flimsy, so I'll knock the top out of it. And then I'm going to go with that. All right. I don't think you want to see me do 100 more of those. So, all right. So we've got all these cuttings made. And basically what we do is we just take them and then we try and put them in a bunch like this, lining up the butt ends as close as we can. What we're just doing is trying to make sure that everything is going to get in the solution. So then I take them like that and we stick them in here. It's going to be a 6-second dip. So 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. And now let's go out and we'll stick them in the sand. So the sand, you know, when we're doing this, we use a really coarse sand. And when I'm sticking them, teal will kind of come in close. And you can see that the sand has got pebbles and stuff. So a lot of times if you buy playbox sand or something in a bag from Home Depot or someplace like that, all you really want is you need for it to drain. And if you go to mikesbackyardnursery.com, our blog, and use the search function and search for which sand do I use, I did a video on different sands, and you can see how well the water runs through some of them, and then some of them, like maybe mason sand, just turns it into a slurry, which is not good. You really want to be able to pour water on the top and have it come out the bottom and not sand in there at all. So a coarse sand, especially when you're misting like we're doing here, is what you need. So coarse sand is what we're using. One other thing that we're gonna talk about using mist, but that's for the more serious propagator, somebody who wants to do hundreds or thousands of cuttings at a time. If you don't want to do that, we have a really popular video. I think it's called the Easy Way to Root Cuttings or something. I'm going to put a link to that in the description down here. Basically, we're going to do the same thing that I've done so far here, but instead of putting them under mist, we do them in a tray with sand, and then we take that tray and we slide it into a white trash bag, seal the end up, squirt some water in there so there's plenty of moisture in there, seal, tie the bag shut, and then take the whole thing and set it in the shade and leave it there for 8 weeks. So pretty simple. Brought my tags, but I'll get to that in a minute. If you're lucky, you're gonna, if that mister comes on, you're gonna get wet. So for your entertainment and pleasure, if the mist comes on, you can see me get soaked. But so basically, this is the coarse sand. There's a lot of debris in here because I've been using this over and over. I do not change it every year, but you can see that it's pretty coarse and there's a lot of pebbles and stuff in there. So I like this plastic scraper because it's a little bit thicker than a metal one, so it makes a little better trench along there. So I just kind of stick this in about, well, I'm changing flavor, so I want to put a little bit of a gap in there because we did Annabelle hydrangea, we did red Prince Weigela, so now we're doing limelight hydrangea. That's more gap than I really want. So like that, and then I kind of take these and scatter them out and just stick them in there. Basically, if I get about 1 inch in the sand, I'm happy. And I stick them about 1 inch apart, which is really close together. But I've been doing it that way forever, and it works. That's my grandson running the four-wheeler all over the place. Dustin's youngest. Did we have him in the video the other day or not? Did we? I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think we did. I had him in a video with the donkeys, and I may post that at some point. The donkeys pretty much knocked him out of the hammock. This bed is about 44 inches wide, and I make the bed 44 inches wide because I want to be able to cover it with, I may want to cover it with 40, you know, I used to cover it with snow fence for shade, which is 48 inches wide. If you're in the north, you know what I'm talking about. If you're in the south, you don't have a clue. But but now I use shade cloth. If Sia points the camera that way, you can see the shade cloth that we have on that bed back there. So I'll put a piece of shade cloth over top of this because we got a screen up here, and that way it keeps it. The shade cloth has to be above the cuttings and above the mist because you don't want it too humid in here. So you want air circulation because we're watering these things every 10 minutes. So these misters are going to come on. Like this is one of our misters. This thing will come on every 10 minutes I have it set for 13 seconds. So it'll spray for 13 seconds every 10 minutes. And it starts about, I don't know, I think I got it set to start at 8:40 in the morning, and it goes to about 7:30 at night, and then it shuts off. We have a product, Dustin has a product on how to set up this whole thing, how to use it, and all that. I'll put a link to that down below too, down there in the description. So these are the tags. So this is the Annabelle tag. That's the red Prince, so I haven't put that one on there yet. So we'll put the red Prince tag on here. That's not going to go anywhere, so now I got to put another screw in here and put my Limelight tag on there. But we got to finish doing our Limelight cutting. So all right, basically that's it. I want to take my fingers and just tap that in because I want to get rid of all of any air pockets. So it's also a good idea to take the hose and wet this really good. But I have irrigation in this area, so at 3 o'clock the irrigation is going to come on along with the mist. So the irrigation will run for 5 minutes. It'll run, I think it's going to run five times, or you know, every 8 minutes, something like that. So that'll probably wet the sand pretty good. But anyway, that's it for the softwood cuttings, unless I think of something else, and I'll throw a segment in here. So until next time, by any and all means, stay inspired. All right, that's good enough for now. All right, shade cloth in tow. I'll give you the camera. Let's see if we can get Tia to help us here. You're in shape, Call of Duty.
Me?
Yeah, I was making a movie. That's the mist if you get it. Gone. And just like that. It's going to be a little bit weird with those hydrangeas over there, so. They get heavier on this side because the sun comes in from this way. I'm going to pull these things out. You get it? Just like that. And now we have these state-of-the-art fasteners that we use to hold it down. You can pick these up at any building and supplies place. They're easy to put on, easy to take off.
Don't throw them at me.
Pull it a little bit. There you get the wrinkle out. Perfect. All right. Any questions, anybody? Hey, if you got questions, post them down below. If you have comments, questions, or mean things to say, you can post them down below too, and we'll deal with that. So, all right, Gavin, you did a good job. Thanks. All right, so here, the date is June 24th. I finished doing all my cuttings about a week ago. Most of them were done probably even 10 days before that. So I added a few things at the end here. So I'll show you where we're at now, and I'm kind of going to wrap up this cuttings video, but everything is in here. It's being misted every 10 minutes, and it's well on its way to being rooted. So now I'm just going to keep the mist on. It's smoking hot this week. I don't know, it's going to be at least 92 today, and has been for the last couple days, and probably will be for the next couple days. So it's hot, but I'm running the water over this entire area probably twice a day, just for all the other plants in here. And that helps to keep the sand moist, because the mist, when it's that hot, doesn't always keep the sand that moist. And of course, I've got shade on here. Here's the shade. So then I've stuck right here at the end, gold flame spirea, and there's some climbing hydrangea. This right here is tardiva hydrangea, phantom hydrangea, variegated Weigela, pink diamond hydrangea. This is Alexandria Weigela right here, silver dollar hydrangea, Java red Weigela, limelight hydrangea, red prince Weigela, and Annabelle hydrangea. So everything is good to go. I also did, this is some fire witch dianthus. So I tore these apart, and for the most part, they don't have any roots on them, so we're working on that. They're getting misted here. We'll see how that works out. But anyway, that's going to kind of wrap up the propagation video. I'll put a link down there below for our plant propagation system, and then also I'll put a link down there for our members area, because if you want to buy, in order to propagate plants, you have to start with plants that are not patented. And those can be kind of hard to find. You go in the garden center, most everything in a colored pot has got a plant patent on it, and you're just not free to propagate it. It's actually illegal to propagate it. So if you're in our members area, you can buy rooted cuttings like this from anywhere from probably $1.50 to $2.50 a piece. Liner size are going to be $2.50 to $3, but a liner is going to be bigger. It's going to be rooted for longer. It's going to be slightly branched. Transplants much better. So anyway, I'll put those links down below. All the cuttings that I showed you, most everything I probably did, let's see, probably about 150 of each. A couple of things like the spirea. I only had one little tiny gold flame spirea, and I completely devastated that thing. Took as many cuttings as I wanted. I'm guessing it'll pop back, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's no big deal. These get rooted, I'll have more from then on. So that's one of the plants that I kind of took out of my my stock bed, so I didn't really have anything to propagate from. So anyway, Mike McGroarty here. It's hot, but for the most importantly, by any and all means, stay inspired.